So today I want to talk about some of my favorite 35mm black and white and color film to shoot. So the first film I want to talk about is Kodak Try X400. And the reason I want to talk about this film is because if you shoot film and black and white film in general, and you're just starting off or you're seasoned, you've probably shot Kodak Try X400. This is a great film for starters and seasoned people, photographers to start off with. The reason why I like Try X so much is because it has great latitude. You can shoot it from ISO 400 to ISO 1600. I believe you can do above that, but I personally have not tried that myself. But again, when I first started off, I started off using Kodak Try X400 because it's one of the most, or if not the most popular black and white film out there, and it's been around for a very long time. So I'm going to show you some photos that I've personally taken with some Try X400. They may not be the best photos, but I hope you like them. And again, just talking about this film, it's really great. You can do so much with this. You can shoot it in low light settings. You can shoot it outdoors. It works in almost any conditions, being that it's black and white, so you're not really worrying about color. So the next film I want to talk about is another black and white, and that's Ilford HP5 Plus. The reason I love this film is, again, because it's a black and white film, but not only that, it has great latitude. Again, you can push this like Try X from 400 to 1600, but I've actually personally pushed it to 3200 and 6400 in 35mm and 120 format, and I've gotten absolutely amazing results, specifically with 35mm at 6400. The reason why I like Ilford so much, and I do kind of prefer over Try X, but I'll shoot either or any day, anytime, no questions asked. But other reasons why I like this is because personally I think it does a little bit better in low light than Try X, but still I think it's one of the top films out there. Another great starter black and white film. If you're getting into film photography, you can't go wrong with HP5 Plus. This is Portra 400, and specifically this is Portra 400 NC. The reason I like Portra 400 NC, or just Portra 400 in general, is if you're shooting color, this film can be a little expensive, especially if you're getting like those 5 packs or something. I think they go for $35 or so. This is a great starter film. This is obviously NC. I don't have a roll of the regular Portra, but this one, I believe the NC stands for neutral contrast. I don't shoot a lot of this. This is actually my very last roll before I go and probably try and find some more on eBay. But regular Portra 400 is perfect because obviously it's a color film, but I believe it works in a variety of situations. So if you're shooting wedding photos, portraits, or just anything random outdoors, or indoors with natural light, I believe you'll get absolutely great results. Grain structure, since this is an ISO 400 film, is neat. Unless you're like in low light situations, you won't really see the grain. But this being 35mm, when you blow your photos up or anything, if you're printing or anything, you'll see a little bit of grain there, but it's nothing like that makes the photos look bad at all. It's just a film grain texture. It looks great to me. I absolutely love it. That's why I shoot film in the first place. But Portra 400, you can get this in 36 exposures. Absolutely amazing color film. Works in pretty much any situation. The next film I want to talk about was something that I've actually recently started using a lot more, and that's Kodak Gold 200. Now, maybe thinking for average photographers, they don't really like Kodak Gold 200, but I personally like it a lot. The reason being is because it has a kind of a vintage 70s vibe to it, which is what I'm kind of going for with my film. And when I say vintage 70s, I don't mean those weird kind of old colors, even though this kind of does have that. I think this one just has some very cool, and I don't mean like cool as in cold cool. I mean cool as like a cool style of look with the colors. The contrast, the vibrance or saturation with the color has sort of, to me, a warmer texture to it. The grain structure, since it's a 200, is very low, and I think this film is actually best on a cloudy day. I absolutely love cloudy days. They're like the best days to me. When you go out and shoot this film on a cloudy day, the results are just like absolutely outstanding. These nice, warm, poppy photos that I like. And it's not like a super warm. It's kind of, I don't really know how to explain it, but just this nice warm look. I really like the way the colors pop in just different types of colors on your clothes, or just with different skin tones. This is also good for any kind of like sunset lighting, or like, it kind of works in like almost any situation, but for me personally, I like it at sunset, and I like it on cloudy days. So the next film I want to talk about is another one that people may not know of or use that much, but I'm pretty sure some people know of it, and that's Agfa Vista Plus. This film on 35 millimeters comes in 400 and 200. This is one of the specific color ones. I believe they have some other like black and white ones, but I've never tried them. This is probably like my favorite color film. I would almost say over Portra 400. The only reason I would say I like Portra 400 more is because it's just a more popular film, and the colors are absolutely outstanding with the Kodak. But with this, the reason I like this is because it gives you a neutral color straight out of the film. When you develop this and you scan your photos in, everything just looks right. Everything looks neutral. It's not too saturated, it's not too desaturated. It's like just right there in the middle, almost just at that perfect spot. And I like this because it gives me the ability to either go and desaturate my photos or saturate them up. And that's something I just really love to do with my photos. The colors, for the most part, I haven't done anything like super scientific, but the way it interprets colors is absolutely cool to me. And the key feature and what I love about this film is that when you shoot it indoors under tungsten lighting or under fluorescent lighting, your colors just, they look right. They're not like perfect, but they look good enough so that you don't have to do too much heavy editing if you don't want to. And that's one of the key things that I love about Agfa, and what makes me just absolutely love to shoot this film. I personally own more of this film than Portra 400, mainly because it's a lot cheaper, so you can buy a lot more for a lot less with Portra. And I would use this professionally and just for like my own personal fun projects any day, right next to Portra 400. The last film I want to talk about, which I almost forgot here, is Delta 100. Ilford Delta 100 to be specific. This film is a black and white film. It's an ISO 100 film, which means it's super, super clean. I believe I have just a handful of photos on this, as I've only shot one roll for some reason. I don't know why I've shot more. I've actually had this roll for a very long time. And whenever I go out shooting, I always have like HP5 or Try X in my camera. And I don't shoot this as much because it's a low speed film, so that's the only downside. But the grain structure and the cleanness of these 100 speed film photos is absolutely breathtaking. I'll show you like one photo right now that I've taken with this, and I mean, it's just like a random photo. I was just hanging out with one of my friends and snapped this photo of him, and it's still like one of my favorite weird portraits to date. But as you can see, it looks ridiculous. Like, look, that's 35 millimeter film, that freaking sharp. And it probably wasn't even like a high resolution scan setting. So if you have not tried Delta 100, please do yourself a favor. Go buy some of this film, shoot it, and just be absolutely amazed. It's a great contrasty film. Not too contrasty. That lighting I was in was just a little harsh because it was like 12 or something in the afternoon. So the sun was like directly above us. But yeah, if you have not shot a 100 speed black and white film, please do yourself a favor and shoot it. If you love clean photos and you don't like grain, Delta 100 is where you want to live. So that's about it. Those are my personal favorite films. If you have any personal favorite films, I'd love to know about them. Go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I'd love to chat with you guys, or just hit me up on Instagram and just, show me some of your photos. I'd love to see them. These are my personal favorite films that I like to use every so often. But yeah, again, subscribe, and see you later.